He has spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
The conversation that day ended with, "That's a lie you've been telling yourself for a long time. And the worst part is that you believe it." That's how the conversation ended, and it didn't go well for the rest of the day or even for a few weeks after that. But that conversation is not the end of the story. It was a turning point in the story. The lie you've been telling yourself, and the worst part is you believe it. That's what I want to talk about today on Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can't tell you how many times I've run across people who are living a life story that is more like a fairy tale, but not the happy ending kind of a fairy tale. It's more like almost like they wish they were in Pretty Woman, or they wish they were in one of those novels, the beautiful novels where everything is hunky-dory and the beautiful girl gets the beautiful guy and they live on happily ever after. But the truth of the matter is, in a minute they're going to wake up and all of life is not going to be what they had hoped that it would be. It's all a fantasy. In fact, there are a lot of people who live in that virtual reality world where much of what's going on in their world is fictitious. It's make-believe. It's nothing to do with reality. But I think the worst part is those people who have lived the portion of their life where they feel like everything in their life is dependent upon others. It's based on what someone else thinks of you or how someone else feels about you or the opportunity that someone else gives you, not the opportunity to go get yourself, not the opportunity you have on a regular basis to do something a little different about the way you eat or the way you think or the people you spend your time with or how you spend your money or how you save your money or where you invest your money. No, it's none of that. It's about whether or not so-and-so likes you and then invests in you or buys you something or takes you somewhere, gives you some opportunity or opens some door for you or connects you in the right relationship. Because if none of that happens, then your life is just a bust. Our friends, that's not true. It is a lie you've been telling yourself that unfortunately many people have come to believe. Some would call it victimhood. Others would have to be honest and say, I've heard it so much throughout my life, I don't know that I could recognize anything else. I only recognize when an opportunity didn't come my way, and I can actually put my finger on who subverted the opportunity, who took that opportunity from me, who prevented me from having that open door. Was it the traffic ticket that made me a few minutes late for work and the other guy got the promotion? Or was it the girl that I really wanted to have or the guy that I really wanted to have and somebody else stepped in the way and told them a lie about me and all of a sudden I don't have the same opportunity that I would have had otherwise? And is it one of those things, or is it the person who didn't give you the education or the one who did win the scholarship and not you, or the one who did win the race and not you, or did win the game and not you? See, it's easy to get caught up in that victim mentality to blame somebody else for stealing your success or taking away or subverting your opportunity. And the truth of the matter is, there probably are times in life when life is not fair to you. There are times in life when life is not fair to, well, any of us, to be honest with you. There are times in life when what we thought was going to be our opportunity vanishes like the morning dew. And there are going to be times in life where that opportunity is more like the picture that you see where the guys are digging through the mine to find the gold, and they stop with one pickaxe swing left. If they just swung that axe one more time, the dirt wall between them and their treasure would have fallen, and bam, there it would have been. But it was the lack of effort, the laziness, the distraction, the belief that I can't do this that allowed them or caused them to give up one axe swing short of their success, one stroke away from their genius, from their opportunity, from their treasure, from their millions, from their dreams being fulfilled. Now, I'm going to tell you there's a whole lot that goes into this concept of writing your own story, of crafting the story that you're going to live through. The book's a million. There are hundreds behind me. Many of them talk about the idea of the laws of attraction, or conversing with the universe, or listening to God, or waiting for the prophet to tell you what your life is going to be. But almost all of them come down to one conclusion, and that is life will not happen to you until it happens in you. If you're not willing to get busy doing the work that's necessary to get you to the next level, no one's going to deliver life to you on a silver platter. No one's going to bring you the life that you want to have. Which also means in order for you to be willing to take the next step forward, to do what has to be done, to actually put in the effort, to do the work, to show up and show out, you've got to believe you can. You got to believe that you have the right to. You also have to believe that you have the responsibility to. See, when you begin to believe the story in your head that someone else is going to bring you success, causes you to do nothing on your own behalf, but to wait. When you believe the story in your head that success for you rests in someone else's hands, that the opportunity isn't yours to go get, no, it's theirs to bring to you, they have to decide whether or not you get that opportunity, well, you're already behind in the race towards your own success. Or you've probably all seen the little illustrative video of all the people starting out on the start line, and they show those that are a little bit further ahead because they have two parents in the home, or they show a little further ahead because they have a two-parent earning income, or they have a college education, or they don't have the districting issues of their schools or where they're allowed to live. And all of those things may be advantages and opportunities. But we also have to consider in that race those people who started on another continent and finished the same race at the front. We're not talking about people who started a step or two back. We're talking about genuine first-generation immigrants. Elon Musk might be one who comes to mind, who didn't start with billions of dollars. I can introduce you to friends whose first-generation immigration came with coin change, pocket change. That's it. Their investment in the great land of opportunity we call America couldn't have bought them a cup of coffee in the day. But their willingness to make no excuses, their willingness to believe that they had the ability and the right to succeed, watched them move from the 2 or 3 steps behind people, the 5, 10, 15, 20 yards behind people, the front line most privileged people, and leave them all in the dust as they cross the finish line with great wealth, with great acknowledgments, with great accomplishments, with great successes in this life. Not because they had a privileged position or a space to start without the struggles, but because they looked at all the struggles and said, yep, I got obstacles, so what? See, the biggest challenge we face today is those people who believe that because there are obstacles in my way, I shouldn't try, I should wait instead for others to move the obstacles. Let me tell you something. If you're a leader, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to lead the narrative, the one in your head. You're going to take charge of the story in your life, the stories that you're telling and the stories that you're hearing. You're going to take charge, because that's what leaders do, of all the things that you allow to come into your head and the stories you repeat to yourself, about yourself, and to others about you will either depict you as someone willing to press forward against all obstacles, or someone waiting for someone else to remove your obstacles, because really there are only those two options when it comes to obstacles. You'll either charge ahead against them, find a way around them, above them, over them, something, or you will wait for someone else to remove all the obstacles and pave the way for you. I understand now there are 17 states who are contemplating what some would call MGI, monthly guaranteed income, and others are calling UBI, universal basic income. Both are a form of socialism and communism. Both are a way that the government controls your behavior, gives you the money they want you to spend, and then later on they'll tell you where and how you can spend it and where and how you can't. Well, because it's their money. It's kind of like when I give allowance to my kids when they're still minors. I get to help them make those decisions. Yeah. Be careful what you wish for. That's a narrative, by the way, that you'll either lead or you'll be led by. You'll either lead the stories by taking charge of the things that are spoken into your life by you and by others, or you'll be led by the narrative that others have for you. Oh, they've already written the book. They've already written the script. In fact, you can ask the World Economic Forum. They've written the script for the entire world, for all of its population, at the number that it is now, or significantly reduced if they get their way. But they've not only written that script for you and for me and for themselves, but for the next 3, 4, 5, 10 generations, they already have a plan. The narrative has already been written, and now they're executing it one little step at a time. And some of those steps seem to be irrelevant to each other, detached. One thing's going on over here and another thing's going on over here, and what we're not really thinking is, why would we do this thing A over here? And what about blue 16 and why green 42? It sounds like somebody's calling plays from the middle of the field, because they are. It seems like they're playing two different games, maybe tennis and football at the same time, because they are. It seems like they're both coaching and playing at the same time, because they are. They're not just writing the narrative of the book, they're the beneficiaries of the outcome at the end of the story. Now, I started this by telling you a story about a conversation that ended something along the lines of, that's the lie you've been telling yourself for an awful long time, and the worst part is, you've chosen to believe it. That story is in the beginning of my book, Live a More Excellent Life, because that story is about a conversation that I had with my mother. I was on active duty in the Air Force. My sister had just graduated from Baylor University, top 5 in her class. My mom, on the other hand, was scrubbing the urinals in the middle school where my sister and I both went to school when we were kids. I said, why are you doing this? She said, you know I'm a high school dropout. This is the best I'll ever do. I said, no. That's a lie you've chosen to believe. The liar is you. But you've chosen to believe the lie. That's a narrative that you're following because you haven't the courage yet to rewrite it. Now, you might ask, well, what is the rest of the story if it didn't end there? Oh, it ended in a bad conversation right then. We didn't end up going to dinner that night, which is what I'd driven 6 hours to town to do. It ended in that argument. I got back in my car and went back to the base, and then the Air Force shipped me off to Honduras. While I was in Honduras, I got the notification from my aunt that my mom had decided to go back to high school and get her GED. They wouldn't give her a GED, but they did impress upon her the value of her service to the school district and said, if you'll get a high school diploma and then get your teaching degree, we would love to have you. We might even be able to find scholarships to help pay for it. And we'd love to have you come back here, bridge the years of service as a janitor toward years of service as a teacher. And so she retired from teaching. She graduated from college at 50. Is it time for you to start over? She graduated from college at 50, retired in her late 60s. But in those years as a teacher, she worked mostly with kids who had already been given up on by somebody else. Somebody else had written the narrative for them and said, we're all done with you. The school district had written them off. Society had said, you're not savable. Family members had given up on them. You're a drug addict. You're already pregnant. There's no chance for you in this life. See, their race had been backed up. They'd been restarted when the race was halfway over. And they're asking themselves, can I still run in this race? Isn't it just over for me? And the answer is no. My mom, for a decade plus, helped those kids rewrite the narrative of their own life. Many of them went on to be ROTC students, officers in the military. Some served in the Middle East during the wars that ensued after. But she never gave up on them after she learned not to give up on her. You're going to either lead the narrative in your life because you're a leader and a take-charge person who says, I won't sit idly by while somebody else writes the script for the end of my story. Or you're going to be led by the narrative that others have written for you, where you're nothing more than a pawn in their game, a part of their creation of wealth and transference of wealth, a part of their manipulation of the players on the field while they're both playing and coaching. Oh, and let me add this, they're refereeing. They're not just playing the game because they have all the insights. They're also rewriting the rules as they go to make sure that they win. That, my friends, is what it means to lead the narrative. When you're not leading the narrative in your own life, when you're not writing the rules that you will live by, when you're not setting up your own boundaries, limitations, and interactions, someone else is doing it for you. That's a promise. Either you're leading it yourself or someone's leading it for you. That's a truth every time, everywhere. Now the question is, what are you going to do about it? Well, my challenge to you today, as leaders at any level, leading yourself, leading your family, leading a community, leading parts of the free world, or leading the free world, lead the narrative. Have in consideration whose lives you're impacting by the choices that you're making. Usually it's not just you, but it starts with you. Don't be led by somebody else's lies, false pretenses, and false ideas. Don't be led by somebody else's willingness to use you as a pawn in their own game for their own benefit, for their own long-term success, if it's not going to help you and the people you care about along the way. Lead the narrative. Write your own story. Tell your story. Because let me tell you something. One of the ways that those who manipulate the narrative is that they tell lies about what was, and they tell a lie about what is. And when they can lead the masses to believe the lie, they win. It's one of the ways they change the rules of the game. You, my friends, I challenge you to lead the narrative rather than being led by it. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, or Tell It Like It Is TV. P.S. If you would like to learn how to lead the narrative, Story Power Masterclass is a really good tool to do that. Story Power Masterclass I've been teaching for over 10 years, had dozens of one-on-one clients who in their own individual lives at various levels of politics and ministry and individual personal entrepreneurism have gone through the coaching classes and the one-on-one coaching to learn how to lead the narrative in their own life and influence others through the narrative that they rewrite. If that's something that would benefit you, get to StoryPowerMasterclass.com right now. There is a free download that you can get called the Story Power Journal Starter Kit. It's free only until October the 1st, but I encourage you to go get it. Go get it now. What are you waiting on? Why are you still looking at the video? StoryPowerMasterclass.com. Have a blessed day.